What we thought we would do is share with you the questions that the last phase of IC Stars to get in. So the top of our funnel is 400 people to select the 20 that make it into the 4-month internship at IC Stars. And the last phase is what we call a panel interview. And it is simply 7 existential questions. And this is after you've done your technology aptitude and attitude test and all of those things and written your essays and really done some soul searching. And so Harper and I thought it would be really cool if we shared with you some of the existential questions that every IC Stars applicant is asked when they apply for IC Stars. Now, the purpose behind these questions is to really get at what are your strategies for overcoming oppression? What is your locus of control? Is it inside of you or is it outside of you? Where do you stand and what do you stand for? So Harper, here we go. The very first question is, who is the man?
I thought about this a lot. When Sandee first mentioned these to me, my mind was kind of blown. And there's a funny story I'll share in a second. But the answer to who is the man is obviously me. And I don't mean that as I'm the man, which is the funny story. Like Sandee said that long ago, people would say, well, the man is the man. But now it's no, I'm the man. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about I am a white male in power. And so I am the oppressor in many cases, whether it's accidental, whether it's microaggressions, whether it's unconscious bias. In many cases, I am the enemy. And one of the things that I really admired by Sandee is when we talk about diversity, Sandee immediately moved us to a conversation about oppression. And one of the things that I notice that I think about a lot when I'm hiring, et cetera, is if we're not acknowledging that in many ways we're actually talking about systematic racism, systematic sexism, et cetera, within the workplace, within our society, that we can't have a real conversation about what is oppression and why don't we have inclusion. And Sandee pushed on that quite a bit, and that was important. So I am the man. And I hope that I'm a man enough to step up and really help out and get more people in my organization to be, people of color, to be women, et cetera. But I guess we'll see. Don't trust me.
Because he's the man. Okay, so then, is the world fair?
No, it's not fair. But it's fair for me, right? Here's the thing that's really important. There's this really great blog post by this author named John Scalzi, and it says, white men are operating with all the cheat codes. They're really great cheat codes. I have them all. I can't share them, but they're really great. And basically, I wake up every morning and everything is perfect, right? I literally cannot fuck it up. And so this is the thing that I think about every day is I think, okay, things are great. Being a white dude has really worked out for me, right? But that's not one of the headlines was, I really stand out in the room. You know how much time it takes for me to look like a business guy? I just shave my beard, right? I get a haircut, maybe get a little surgery on the ears or whatever you do in that case, and I put on a suit. Next thing you know, I'm a business guy at a bank, right?
I can't do that.
That's an important thing for me as a white dude to realize is that me, the code switch is just clothing change. That's it. I'm done then.
Go ahead and clap, because that was deep, right? So, Harper, what does the world look like when it is fair?
I don't know. I don't know this because I can dream about things, but I don't think we've seen we haven't even seen close to fair. I don't think we know what that looks like. I can't imagine fairness. I can imagine this dream that various leaders have had in the past, but I have a very hard time saying, what is it like when things are fair? One of my friends has a store, and I sadly forgot the name of it, but it's a store where women pay 70% of what men pay at the store. Seems like a good idea, right? That might seem a little more fair, a good demonstration of what fair could look like. But that's a novelty. That's kind of a joke. It's fun. I think it's good and it's smart. But I don't know what fair looks like. I don't know. I look at my friends and they don't have it as fair as I do. I look at my partner, she doesn't have it as fair as I do. So I can't answer that question.
And I think that that's the most uncomfortable thing there is. If we can't imagine what a fair world looks like, how do we build that fair world?
I think it's through collaboration. I think it's through having an uncomfortable conversation. One of the things that I work at a company that was unfortunately named earlier, so it's going to be more awkward to tell the story. But I had a conversation with a person, and we were talking about hiring more people of color. And they said, the unfortunate thing, they said, "I'm just afraid we won't get the right people." And so I sat there, and I wasn't actually in that conversation, but I waited for 2 weeks to have that conversation again because I wanted him to say, "I'm afraid we're not going to get the right people." And I wanted to reply, "Did you mean the white people?" Because I think that's what he actually meant.
Wow.
Was he actually meant, I'm afraid that we're going to get people that look different than me. I'm afraid we're going to get people that are going to take my power away. And so that's why I think this always goes back to this idea of oppression. Mm-hmm. This always goes back to the history that we have in the United States that we have not healed from, and how we need to heal from that. And we can't do that without all of us working together, every one of us. And every one of us having that uncomfortable conversation that is hard. Like, this is not an easy conversation for me to have up here. Luckily, I have a good friend, Sandee, that I can do this with in her office and feel a little bit safe. But this is, I was thinking earlier, I was like, I'm going to get up here, I'm going to say this stuff, and then tomorrow I'm going to be fired from my job, right? But I can get a new job because I'm just a regular white dude. And I want to clarify something there. What I mean by that is that this, for me, is a cheap conversation. This is inexpensive. So when we talk about diversity in tech, especially as leaders in tech, when we're up here talking about this stuff as white men, this is inexpensive. This costs me nothing. When Sandee is up here talking about this costs her real money. She is paying money to have this conversation. She's talking whether it's salary and income inequality, whether it's just the fact that she is underrepresented within technology. But for me up here, without action, this is inexpensive. And that's something that I think about every day, that it's easy for me to get on Twitter and talk about how we want diversity in tech. It is hard and expensive for someone else to do that. And so think about that when you look at us male leaders in diversity, male leaders, white male leaders within diversity. Like, this is cheap for us. This is easy. So push us, make us actually execute. And if we don't, throw us away.
You're here.